So it's a great debate today. I'm Corey, and we're going to talk about real versus fake Christmas trees. There's pros and cons to both sides. It all depends on your situation, where you live, what you can afford, and you just never know. Which one's better? Like all things to do with sustainability and eco-living, it's complicated. Well, I have a fake Christmas tree. This is my 8-foot tall Christmas tree that comes pre-lighted, meaning I don't have to put any lights on it. The lights are already all around it. And it's pretty cool. It actually comes with a remote, and I can change it from the colored lights to white lights to no lights, or alternating colored and white like that. It's pretty cool. We've had it for a long time. There's nothing wrong with it. It is fake. So that means it's made with a plastic compound, and obviously the lights and the wiring and all that is plastic as well. So that means that it's going to be on the planet forever. I can't get around it. That's what a fake tree is. If you decide to go with a real tree, where are you going to get it from? And that depends a lot on where you live. So I'm from Quebec, Canada, and pine trees and evergreen trees, blue spruce trees, they're everywhere. I have them in my yard, the neighbors have them, the parks have them. Obviously our forests are filled with them because these are natural trees to Canada, right? It's not like we brought in a species to grow. So they're very easy to get. Now, I'm going to tell you a funny story once. There was this like shopping mall center thing, and they renovated it, and there was like a Home Depot and an IGA and a Krispy Kreme and all this stuff. But they planted these evergreen trees around the property, like hundreds of them. And they were very small because they planted them very little. And then over the years they started growing and they look really pretty. And I thought, wow, those would make a really nice real Christmas tree, right? But obviously you're not supposed to take them. They're not your property. Well, I passed by the week later. Somebody actually went with a saw and cut one down. So all you saw was the tree stump and the wood shavings all over the snow. So someone actually took one for their Christmas tree. Now, if you want to say that's like the most sustainable thing ever you could do, not legal, but you know. But it brings up a point that many places in Canada will actually let you pay, like let's say $5 or $10. You can go into the forest where there's apparently too many trees and they need to be thinned out anyways, and you can go cut down your own tree. I know they do it in British Columbia a lot. And there is other places in Quebec and all around Canada that will let you do it. So that is kind of the most best thing you can do, maybe if you have access to it, right? Because you're thinning out trees that would need to be cut down anyways, right? On the other hand, I personally can't do that because our problem is lack of transportation. We don't have a driver's license or a car or access to a car, truck, whatever, to get it. So we went with a fake tree. No problem. So you have pros and cons on both sides. Real trees smell great. I mean, they smell really, really good. Fake trees, well, it smells fake. You smell plastic. If you get like right up close to it and sniff a branch, it's going to smell like dusty plastic, kind of. Not pine, obviously. Real trees, you got to trim. You got to make sure they look good. And they require more upkeep than a fake tree. So when you get a real tree, normally, excuse me, normally you cut off the trunk to, you know, a certain length. And my experience was you put the trunk in a bucket, like a big bucket of sand, and you need to maintain this tree, right? So my sister always had a real tree forever. So she would buy it really early and she would keep it really late. So she would actually get it in November and then get rid of it almost at February. Now that's a long time for a real tree, because as soon as you cut that tree, that thing is dying, right? So when you keep it in a bucket of sand, you have to keep watering it and taking care of it. Now, another con for a real tree is it could be a fire hazard, right? I remember going to her house, and every time we walked by the tree, you would hear tick, 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 tick. And then if someone else walked by, you hear tick, 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 tick. And if too many people walked by, like, you know, high traffic area, it was like, and we're like, what's that noise? What's that noise? What is that noise? And my sister's name is Lorraine. I'm like, Lorraine, what is that noise? What is that? Is that the cats? And they're like, no, it was the tree. Because the tree was so old at that time, it was dried out. It was actually going from green to brown, that all the little needles were falling every time you walk by it. So in the end, it was extremely dry. It was deader than dead, and almost all the needles had fallen off. So you have upkeep and more cleaning to do with a real tree. Now, the other thing is, what do you do at the end of the life of the tree? Because this thing, a fake tree, I take it down and I put it away until next year. But with my sister, you have to decide where this tree is going, or what's left of the tree. In Quebec, Canada, we have a certain day of the year where you're allowed to throw out your tree next to your garbage, and they will specifically send a truck just to pick up the trees. Now, after that, they're either landfilled, which they go in the garbage, chopped up for compost, right, like a wood chipper. There are places that actually will take your tree and give them to the goats to eat. I know that in the United States there's a lot of like goat eating Christmas tree places, but in the end you're responsible for the end of life of your real tree, right? So if you don't want to throw out your tree by the specified date, then you're stuck with it. Then you're really stuck with trying to figure out what to do with it. Like I said, with our fake tree, we just take it down, we put it in the box, and we keep the box in the shed. That could be a pro or a con as well. You have to have storage, right? You have to put this tree somewhere. This is like an 8-foot tall tree. So as you can imagine, the box is so huge, I can fit into it no problem. No problem at all. It's a very big, long, tall box. So you have to have storage space to keep this tree in, right? Whereas the real tree, it's gone out of your house and that's it. So, like I said, it depends, you know? I would say, in the end, a real tree will cost you more every year because you have to keep buying this tree, right? You're spending money every year for this new tree. This guy I bought once. It cost me about $300 Canadian. I bought it at Costco at the time. And like I said, it's an 8-foot tree. It's huge. So, but I only paid that once, right? And we've had it for years now, so I've not had to put any more money into my tree, right? That's it. Some people don't even have a tree. I mean, it's your choice if you want a tree or not, right? Now, there is some really cool stuff happening in the world in different countries where you could rent your real Christmas tree. So they'll plant a tree in a pot, right? And you rent the tree for the season, and it comes to you in a pot, and you have to water it. You still have to take care of it. But at the end, when it's done, the company will come back and pick it up, and they'll either replant it in a forest, right, until next year, or they'll just keep up potting it. So as the tree grows, it needs a bigger pot, so they'll just keep giving it a bigger pot, right, until the tree reaches something like 6 to 7 feet. When it gets too big and hard to maneuver in a pot, they will plant it in an actual forest. So that might be an option if you have that around you, if you want to pay for one every single year. I know some people buy trees in pots and then they plant them in their backyards. There's an option too, if you want to have a little forest. The other issue is with real trees is some places have like tree nurseries, right? So they'll have a piece of land and they'll grow only all kinds of evergreen trees for the Christmas tree market every year. Now, the other issue with growing a monoculture is you're only growing one thing, right? Now, the bigger issue that I find is they're growing these trees in an area where these trees would have never grown. So doing it in Canada is one thing, but doing it down in, you know, the desert is another thing. Because, first of all, it's a desert, so you're wasting water to grow these Christmas trees, and these species are not native to your area. So, you know, you're messing up biodiversity, and you could be introducing a species that shouldn't be there. So there's pros and cons of everything. So some other cool stuff about the fake tree is I can pass the tree on to, you know, my son or to anybody who wants it. So I can have this tree for literally the rest of my life. I'll never buy another Christmas tree again till I croak. And then I can pass it on to someone else who needs it, and it will still be fine. As long as the lights don't break for whatever reason. But in the end, even if the lights break, the tree is still fine. You would just have to put your own lights on it, right? No big deal. The other issue with a real tree that I know for a fact happens, because it happened to my sister, is animals. If you have pets, they're going to want to be really with that tree. Now, I have cats myself, and I keep this Christmas tree in this room, and this room actually has a sliding door. So I have a door here, and it's like a sliding screen door that lets air circulation into this room, because this room is actually very special to me. It's I collect vintage toys, so this is my vintage toy room, which is a whole other side of my life, really. And we keep the door closed so the cats can't get in here, because they're going to be all over the tree. But a real tree, it's kind of, well, I've known dogs and cats to pee in the tree. Yeah, and I've also known dogs to poop under the tree. So if you can imagine that for Christmas, that must be great. So in the end, it's up to you if you have a real tree or a fake tree. It all depends on your situation, what you want, where you live, how you want to get it. I have a fake one, so I guess I'm on team fake, I suppose. I don't know what you guys had, if you had a real or a fake tree. And with that, I will see you probably next Saturday. Have a good one. I'm filming this. There is cats in the room. There's not supposed to be. They're going to get in trouble.